update 3, the hollow update, and we're gonna talk about what I think of the current metagame, who I think strong, who you should pick up, and what you really should be doing with what you pick up, so that you have the best experience playing this game as possible. So I'm just gonna get some of the troll ones out of the way. First thing is Krillin. I know it's a meme in my community that this unit is God tier, and as much as I'd love to put him at S just to mess with everybody, we're gonna be serious this thing, and just tell you that if you get this guy, a shiny one probably, he is a healed unit. He's got a fast attack speed, but he hits for nothing. So unfortunately, anybody that's got like a rare or a common, I mean, this is where they all go. They're all used for fodder. That's why he's here, to cover that basis. Alright, next. The one exception to this rule is Sakura. Now, I wouldn't throw this away, so I'm going to put her up here. There will be people down here, but I wouldn't throw her away. But squeezing her on teams at this point is a little difficult. But if you have an open slot and you're high level and you don't have those mythics because the gems aren't adding up, she's worth putting on a slot because you'll probably accidentally get her spinning for other units anyway. So instead of like putting like a unit that doesn't hit very hard on your squad, you can put her on it and just buff the small amount of good stuff you already have and make ludicrous numbers. Like I'll go into it when we get to the stronger units, but essentially she turns your already good units into better units. So instead of doing what I do, anyway, we're moving on. As for throwing more away, we are at the point where characters like Itachi are just like irrelevant, and to go with them is this guy. Like before, it was like kind of decent if you got these legendaries, but even if the mythic and shop, unless it's like a limited one, even if the mythic and shop is kind of good, I would avoid any shop that has these legendaries in it that even if they have a good mythic, it's just an L shop. Like it will get you by the early game for the people that use the legendary pity, because you're like noobs and whatnot. But it's just not worth to have these. They just don't do enough anymore. Like they'll get you through the game, but eh, I'll go into other characters that not only get you through the game but scale up. All right. Um, who's next? I know there's a couple other ones that are. There's definitely something. Um, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is kind of like a spice take, but I'm gonna put this guy right here. Now this is probably, I know you count went right down right after I got away from the non spice, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this character is down here. Okay, and here's the thing: people need to understand something about this character. This character is the limited unit, secret unit, whatever you want to call it, and the chances of it getting him are probably unknown. There's probably some stats out there or whatever, and overall, he's regarded as like a free win of the game. Okay, this is a rumor, and apparently he has a really good skill. But if you look at the stats on this character, it's actually kind of underwhelming. And even if the summoning things are kind of crazy, um, going out of your way to try to get this unit is ludicrously insane. So for me to put him as S or A or B or whatever is kind of disingenuous because it makes my opinion on it uh seem like, oh, you should probably slap him on any team if you can. The problem is I've been playing this game for like 3 updates, and I'm the type of person to save up like 40k gems, and I know people that have 100k gems and they'll do all the spinning they can and not get this character. So clearly the odds are stacked horrendously against you. So instead of burning all your gems to get a unit that at this point in time, because he came out on release and we've now had 3 updates, he's he's scaled he's scaled to first update. So even if he was insane first update, by Tokyo Ghoul he was probably power crept. But let's just ignore that, right? We're on another patch after that, right? Not including Marineford. So even if he was nuts before, nuts, what's nuts now, right? Even if he was nuts then, by the time we get to now, he's basically a novelty collector item. And then showing it off to other people is more of like a bragging rights thing rather than something that you should be slapping on your team. Because, like I said, if you look at the numbers of this character, they're actually quite low. Moving on. Uh, Another character that kind of sucks is, and I can kind of just do this for all of them, all the limited units are all trash. Like, it's just not worth it to go for these things. I thought I had Ichigo in here. Ichigo counts. Limited, leaderboard, you name it. These units are so bad. Like, and I forgot to put her in here. She sucks too. These 3 legendaries are terrible. Where is I don't think I have Ichigo on here, but Ichigo sucks too. Yeah, if I see him later, I see him later. Okay. All the limited leaderboard, whatever. If you were here when you could get this guy or Ace, where is it? I could have sworn I at least put Ace on here. It doesn't matter. If you were there when you could get Ace or this guy or now Ichigo, and you can get these units, you have a team that's better than the limited unit. They're collector items, which is pretty much just like the state of D tier. Like characters that are decent in a vacuum, or if you got them before, but since you need a team to get these guys, they're atrocious. Of course, somebody's like mowing their lawn while I do this. Well, since they're mowing their lawn anyway, AC goes back on. Because you're not. Either way, you're gonna hear some humming. I'd rather be in a state of comfort than that. We're still waiting on the mic filter. Anyway, the next character we want to go into here is where is it? Do we want to move up yet? No, we're not there yet. Okay, so pretty much let's actually move down some of these. Not worth for the leaderboard unit. Oh, hold up. What is happening? Hello? Oh, because I hit control. We'll put the leaderboard units down here. They're the leaderboard unit down there. It's not worth to do all this leaderboard stuff just to flex. Like, it's so bad. And then the limited units, I'll leave them up here because it's kind of like if you do get him, you get an overall like better time in the game state if you get the RNG of it. And if you do have these limited units, you can sell them. So like Sakura, they have something going on, but overall they're trash. Like, it's just not worth it to run them on teams. But they do fulfill something that's worth talking about. Speaking of like leash things that you can do with characters, the raid units will go here, and then I'll also put right beside the raid unit this guy. I'm putting them all in the same tier because I've seen leash things with founding Aaron on like a couple of the raid maps. Like in theory you can clear the end, but now that there's even more stronger units, it's not even worth it. And his numbers for the amount of money that you have to spend is actually terrible. Like, if you've ever gone into an infinite with an Aaron, you are down a slot, and then when you finally pop him to pick up the slack, the first pop will clear the full wave. Second pop, even if you've upgraded it once, is so like, even if you double farm, it is so weak. And if you double farm, now you're down 3 characters. It is so weak that the enemies even in Ghoul Infinites are wrecking you. Any mode is wrecking you, honestly. And then Aaron's just as bad. But I put them here, and you can even put the other Naruto here because farming in raids gives you 200 gems. Look, so going for stuff like this on the side is just overall a good thing. And then if you don't have those units and you farmed with people that actually could carry you in these things, even though you need better units than these to do the raids, if you get carried as a noob, Naruto's a great unit for it. And then having this for like something like an infinite is just literally like, well, I got nothing else, so they're fine. But see what I'm saying? If you got nothing else, sure, but trash. Their numbers are just really bad. Aaron's especially, but Sakura is the best of these because it's a rare. It's just so easy to get. And then actually, I'll put him down the lowest of it because he's just so hard to get. So now we'll just start talking about like characters that just like suck, but they can at least like do stuff if you get them, but you shouldn't go for them. So these are characters that you could get, or you know what? I'll have the characters you can get as like a me thing or as a mid tier thing, and then I'll have the characters that you actually should actively avoid here, at a little bit above these guys. So the ones you should avoid, and I'll go in. C tier isn't done. But the ones you should avoid are these mythics. If you see these mythics in shop, where's the other one? If you see these mythics in shop, it's just not worth it. Like maybe at one time, if you already own them, sure, but especially if you're new, avoid these mythics. Like they're just trash. They're not worth going for anymore. He was never worth going for it. All Might's probably the best of the three. They're just overall weak units, and using most people, I don't even know what like the pity is. Using what little gems that you probably have to get one of these units only for it to suck is bad. So just avoid them if you can. Okay. And then we'll just have him down here at the top. Or at the bottom. We'll do bottom for him because he's just that hard to get. And then these guys have their leash on stuff you can do with them. And then these guys actively avoid. And these are like, no, don't even do it. Is there anybody else that fills in these categories? No, they really don't. I don't want to run out of space, so we'll like get a little bit more lenient with it. So, yeah, we'll do it like that. Only slightly better. I wanted to put him like dirt low, but there is some leash play. Okay. Who's next? Is there any other ones I could snipe? Yeah, we'll finish C tier. We'll C tier. So, the next subset of characters that I'll just like kind of group, and I'd rather group than individually speak about every unit because the last video was like an hour when I did it like this, is Dio and Goku Black. These units are like, and honestly I'll even put Giovanni if you can get him. I'll put Dio first. If you can get these three, like if it's in shop, these aren't L's. These two right here. They're not L's. They'll get you through like a majority of the story. So if it's the mythic you want and you see these there, they'll have enough DPS to kind of handle like early game portions and stuff like that. Like they'll just do it. And the reason why Dio is kind of like the head of the curve of these guys, which I should honestly put Sakura higher, but these do good numbers. Dio carried me all the way up to like Marineford by himself. He's got a time stop ability, and he's only an epic. He's like a really easy grab for just having immediate DPS in this game. He just does so much work for especially for like the unit class he is and the accessibility. So if you're gonna pick up anybody starting off the game, I'd say Dio is like one of the first things you should look for with the small amount of gems you have, just to get you by. So really he should be like higher, but I do want to talk about the units that you should have on your team as S, and I don't want to like oversell the early game too much because any luck could turn into okay, what are you correcting me on? Be fast, please. This is a video. Okay, it's JoJo. Who cares? I'll get to Dio. I'm not erasing the whole video because I called him by the wrong name. Okay, anyway, let's move on to B tier. I think we're finally here. So B tier are units that are like you should probably try to get if you can. But they've been kind of power crept, so it's gonna look like the top tiers of the last thing. This guy said, "Bro." Okay. At the bottom of B. Where is he? We can do Pain. Pain does decent. Yeah, we'll do Pain. Pain. Hey, what's up, man? Pain, I'm putting kind of like as the lowest for one of the supports, unless you count Sakura, because the knockback just isn't really good. Oh man, I just got raided. Okay, that's fine. I'm doing a tier list, so I'm busy. Anyway. So Pain, I'm putting at the bottom of B because his C is just kind of like weak. Okay, I'm gonna ignore him. Okay, anyway, his CC is just kind of weak overall. Like if you spread him out through the map, like it's decent knockback, and he is like a better All Might, but it's just like the problem is, especially for the cost, because you got to get him to like upgrade 6. It's just not overall worth it. So I'm just, if you see him in shop, he's still an okay grab with the CCs, but by the end of it, you'll be scrapping him for something else. Next is, especially since there's characters in this game that do better CC than him. Should I say him yet? Yeah, should we get the mids? We'll do Goku. Now Goku's DPS is pretty good for infinites and stuff, but he does get outclassed by a few legendaries that I'll talk about later on in the thing. Yeah, he is D tier. Yeah, he is. He's bad. He's been power crept, and I'm not gonna resell everything. I already said it earlier. He's been power crept, and the absurdity of getting him is just so unbelievably unlucky that you shouldn't go for it. Like, it's just so bad. Just like Armin, you shouldn't waste a bunch of gems on this mythic unless you're collecting. Like, it's just not worth the gem pool to try to get Lulu on your team at this point. Okay. Anyway, Goku's DPS is fine for infinites and stuff. Yeah, he is. He is that level. But Goku's got decent DPS for stuff like that. So if you get him in the shop with like one of the mythics I'll be talking about later, it's not an L, but I wouldn't go for him. Same with Pain. He's just something that, like, if you get it while you're trying to get that mythic you want, putting him on the team isn't the worst. Thanks for the follow. All right, next. We're going to talk about basically the last meta. I'm going to group them all into one thing here. Whitebeard, Madara, Broly. To me, these are interchangeable. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Whitebeard's got a great start on base when you drop him. And I've seen people use him as late as Hollow Infinite. Madara, after you awaken him, he can do some decent numbers. But there's just characters that have already, like, eclipsed him by Ghoul. Yeah, Whitebeard kind of sucks. And then Broly's probably like the best of the pack because of the full AoE thing. But again, his numbers have been pretty power crept. So, no, he's not. Pain has a CC. That's like pretty good for spacing. He doesn't. His CC is kind of whatever. Yeah, that's why he's right next to JoJo. And it's why JoJo's better because he's an epic. Anyway, they, they, if you get these guys and evolve them, you're kind of wasting your time because there's better stuff. But if you got to work with what you got, Whitebeard or Broly are probably better because Madara needs 2 eyes. But I don't want to sit here and act like Madara can't carry a game. Dude, I don't know who said you guys would be toxic or whatever the fuck they said. I don't care. If you guys voice opinions, I'm gonna look over and read what you say and address it. Like, drop the whole toxic thing and let's talk about the game, okay? Yeah, Broly sucks. That's what I was trying to just because I'm saying B tier, this is above stuff like Sakura and raid units. Like B tier is average. I don't. They can roast or whatever. Just let it alone. Okay. Anyway, let's keep moving, people. Let's keep moving. Uh, at the top of B tier, and these are units that you should probably consider getting, but don't go out of your way for it. And they're grouped together. Is Kaneki. Um, where's the other one? Oh, and these guys, these raid units. They're actually quite powerful if you can get your hands on them, but they're so time consuming and the meta has like already evolved past that update that they're not worth it anymore. I grinded both of them and they helped me through Hollow, but that was like 2 weeks of, or that was like a week of no sleep. And now they're already weaker than some of the new stuff in the game. So if you can get them, they're actually pretty good. Uh, like if people carry you through infinite trains and you go for either one, Akaza's got a better early game to late, but Rengoku's late game is just really powerful with the burn and the AoE spot. So it's your choice which one you get. Whichever one you need, you should just gun for first. But really, they both do like a lot of damage. Akaza hitting at 8,000 to 12k on buff, and then Rengoku now getting close to 10,000 with a burn. No, it's not for DPS, guys. This is for accessibility to new players and to talk about the eventual metagame for S tier. This tier list is not off of DPS. Sakura does no damage, and if you've seen it, I haven't put any farm units in. This is to educate people on like what you should use your gems on. What you should use your gems on and what's good right now. Yep. That's how I use my tier list. I said at the beginning, but you guys rated when I was like 2 tier lists in. That's why a unit like this guy is at the bottom, because if you're lucky enough to get it, cool. But if you spent your entire gem pool gunning for this guy, you may never see him. I'll get to Uru in a second. Or actually, not in a second. It'll be quite a while till I talk about Uru, so you'll have to wait there with the popcorn or come back later. um, that's it for B. I kind of wanted to put. I could kind of separate these a little bit if I wanted to. Oops. Let's put that back. What the fuck? I didn't even know you could do this stuff. I'm not going to add a tier list. I'll just spread them out more. Here, let's do this. There we go. That looks a little better. Yeah, Whitebeard can be the head of C. Fuck you, Andre. Okay. Who's left in B? Top of the pack for B. I'm gonna go with Whitebeard or Blackbeard. I mean. Where is the other one? I guess Whitebeard's fine. Yeah, Whitebeard or Blackbeard and Dio. Okay, so the thing with Blackbeard is Blackbeard's curse is actually pretty good. No, no. Dio used to be like the unit to bring for early game, but he's been power crept. He he was doing so bad that the devs buffed him. I hope you guys know that. I hope you guys know that they had to buff Dio in the mini patch, right? You guys do know that, right? Everybody that's saying Dio is S, you guys do know he got a mini buff, right? Yes, they did. You know that, right? Yeah, he will. Yeah. I think you guys have a patch to get him. He said, "Raise the." He said, "Stop making your tier list video for YouTube. Stop making it really quick and benefit me. Stop it real quick. I'm gonna continue the tier list, and then I'll do all your receipts or whatever the fuck you need. You need personally. Why don't you talk to the devs in their Discord and ask them if it's true or not? They say every content creator take it with a grain of salt if you actually read what they say. Anyway, Dio used to be good. His damage has fallen off greatly, and his time stop doesn't come until like 4,500. And even on the Tokyo Ghoul map, that was starting to get like whatever. And there was already a mythic that was doing what he could do better. Bruh. Like, oh my god. Anyway, if you need another slot for something like this to slow things down, that makes things easier for you for CC, it's not bad. You can only put down 3, and then Whitebeard or Blackbeard just makes things like a little easier. But again, it's only if you have an open slot. If they're in the shop and you happen to get them, Dio will get you through most of the game. Not infinite stuff, but just through most of the story and game. And he's a good starter unit. And Blackbeard will help you with those infinites that drag on, but overall, they're kind of meh now. So, you get them at your own risk. You should probably just go for Dio. I mean, for JoJo. But if you do get them, they're not bad. But they've been power crept. Okay, anyway. Moving on to A tier. There's only going to be probably what was meta last season. Honestly, I'll put her in B2. Ito sucks. I've heard from leaderboard people that her and Namek is actually quite fire. But overall, as a unit from Ghoul, she actually underperformed, and to scale her up to the rest of them was just an insult. And the fact that you needed 3 uh, shiny crystals or whatever the fuck to evolve her, only to get like subpar damage, was insulting, especially with her giant hitbox when you put her down. Yeah, she just overall sucks compared to the rest of them, and then her ability is like kind of hard to use because she has to hog kills. So in multiplayer, you'll never scale her up, and then in solo play, it's just kind of like, unless you're playing like Namek or Shimi, or was it Attack on Titan, she's not really ever getting any kills. Like, especially once you get to the hollows with the shields that require multi hits and the ghouls that are regen. I'll get to the new units. The new units are cracked. I'll get to them in just a second, guys. Just wait. I need to talk about everybody else first. That's why I started from the bottom up. Okay. Another character in B that I hear people talk up is fucking Tarda, dude. I don't know why people think this full AoE circle is any good, especially on this like line map. It's so bad now. Like, it was bad on Ghoul because the Irwin buffing was just kind of like awkward with him, because if you put him on a corner, you lost like 2/3 of your actual range. But he's just so bad. No, I wouldn't say he's worse than Whitebeard. The double burn actually scales quite nice, but I'm only putting him a little bit ahead of Ito, because Ito does leaderboard stuff, and that's basically it. Don't go for them. Alright, let's start at A. Let's finally get to A. Do we have enough space? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then this is like 8. Okay, yeah. We're good enough to go to A now. We could do one more B, to be honest. We'll do one more B. These are all decent. I'll put Katakuri here. Katakuri's got like some of the good CC, but he can't hit air anymore, so he kind of got nerfed. He's good for stuff like raids if you want to slow down the boss, or just like any situation where you want to slow down an enemy for a CC. But if you're in the position where you need to do stuff like that, your units are kind of weak anyway. So he's just kind of like not worth to go for. Like if you're looking for another slot, you're better off with the DPS. Yeah, he's good with bosses, and then that's kind of it. So like if you want to plop this guy down just to make sure your DPS lands all their abilities, maybe for like a specific challenge, sure. But overall, no. Yeah, I hear you on the ramp the root, Ash, but I wouldn't spend 16 to 20k gems just to slow down a boss slightly. And he's not even helpful in the fast bosses. Okay. Who's next? Let's go to A now. Okay, these are the units that you should actually go out of your way to get if you see them in shop. Like, you should go for these. We'll start at the bottom. Okay, the bottom, we'll go with her, Rukia. Now, for those of you that don't know what she does, because she's kind of like a brand new unit, this character has a full AoE. It's huge. Freeze with decent damage. So having her as a legendary, just sitting there with the CC ready to go, and as you go for the mythic that you actually want, getting her is great. Oh, you haven't? She's a freeze unit. She's like a better one of that other burn and freeze unit. She's actually pretty good. It's a really big circle. It's like Shanks. It's like Shanks in size. It's very big. And it's a freeze. He got spammed. Who was it? Max, don't cap. Be careful, dude. The Nightbot will get you guys. Yeah. Arguably better than Shanks, but I'll get into why I'll put her legendary. I would go for Rukia. I would go for her. She's really good. I've only heard good things, and I got a picture of like one of the circles. But I'll show this shit after the tier list, guys. Just wait, okay? She's good. If you see her, and you're going for something else, get her. If you don't really care about CC, like I was saying with Katakuri, it's not a big deal to ignore. But her damage is decent. So let's finish up with some of these guys. The next one I'm gonna put is no, not you. Where are you? Juzo. I'm gonna put him above. Juzo's still good for those maps that have regen. Like if you need to do challenges for star fruits, if you're struggling in Ghoul, he's just kind of like that leash character that you'll always need for stuff like that with his high damage. He does close to 10,000 on full upgrade, and you can put down like 5. So he's really good. The cone's good. His attack speed is super fast. And he can solo the whole game already, besides Hollow. And then when you're doing specific stuff like that, he's just like kind of necessary since he's the only unit with the anti-heal. But again, like Rukia, if you see him in shop, you don't need to necessarily go for it, but it is helpful. Especially if you've done everything else with the other units coming up here. Next, I'm going to put slightly above him is Shanks. Now, Shanks, I still have in high regard because he can stun. He can stun air units. Like, the unconscious cooldown is really low, and even though I don't like the AoE, he hits close to what Juzo does, and then he, like I said, he stuns. So, it's a high DPS unit with a CC. So, it's honestly worth the still gun for something like this. You would think after all these metas that he'd be nerfed, but weirdly enough, he's still like relevant. I kicked him off my team, but if you have one or if you see one in shop, it's not the worst thing to go for him, but there are better units. The crowd control plus DPS is kind of big. Do we have any more? We do have a couple more here. Let's go. I don't want to say. Yeah. We're finally talking about Grimjaw. So from the research that we've gotten with Grimjaw, guys, this is another new unit. He is the unit that you want instead of your DO or whatever the fuck. He is the legendary that now does like an ass ton of damage for cheap. He's your guy. If you see him in shop and you're a noob, gun for it. He's very strong. He has a line attack instead of like a cone or a dot. Like a very wide line attack. And he does a lot of damage. And since he's a legendary and he's competing with some of the mythicals for damage, it's just overall a good idea to get something like this. So if you see him in shop as your legendary, it's a good shot to be you if you're new. And if you haven't tested him already and you still need like a slot or something and you can't afford that mythic, you should probably just slap him on for good TPS if your other characters aren't cutting it. Like if you still have your Itachis, if you still have your Gokus, or if you're running Kaneki, he's just overall better. Next, I think we're almost at a close for B. You know, I'll put the high for A in a second here. These two are close, and I'm gonna lump them together. Levi is A. So this might come to a shock to some people. Levi and Akainu are like really good right now. They are super good right now. I'd argue they're S just because of the stuff that they can do for you to get to those hollow units that you want. Levi and Akainu are cracked. The fact that air is the big problem in hollow. Dude, the fact that air is the big problem in hollow. I have a friend that has this unit. Guy, people have been saying he's trash forever. His attack speed has always been like close to 10,000 with a 5 attack speed. And he's a hill unit. That's what everybody wants for hollow. Like if you don't have who I'm gonna say is the best character in the game on your team, you need one of these two for hollow. Like you just need them. If you don't get the other unit, and to get the other unit, you need something for hill anyway. No, I'm not putting speed card A. Oh, I'm thinking about S. Why do you? Okay, real quick for what Ultimate Wizard said there. Really quick, when you think farm units, why would you not think they're S? You need them. I'm guessing that this guy wants me to say. I guess this guy wants me to say Bulma's undisputably the better farm unit, even though Speed Cart is good in every story or every challenge. And Bulma is like a little weaker there. So since they have their pros and weaknesses, it's kind of like you should get both. But I'll get into the farm second. I'm not getting pressured by him. I know what I know. All right. So the final character in A tier is this dude right here. He's been power crept. His cone's still pretty good. If you have him as your DPS unit, don't kick him off just yet. But he's no longer. I don't see anybody else talking, dude. I don't know why you got beef, bro. Anyway, this guy's DPS is like great. It's still good, but he's been outclassed. And I'll go into the numbers of all the. So since these people, the raid that came don't know, I've evolved all of the units for. I have all the bleach units evolved. Yeah, he's got beef. He doesn't even know that I have all the characters evolved already. He doesn't even know. He just thinks I'm just talking out of my ass or something. Anyway. Okay, anyway. How many of you guys have every unit evolved yet? Have you guys done that yet? Or no? Who here's actually evolved everybody? Wait, hold on. How many of them even have actually evolved everybody yet? So you have? Hold on. Bro, we are talking about speed cart, my guy. Stop trying to flex your 1K hours in a Roblox game. 1,000. Okay, I'm moving on to the tier list. Clearly, these guys are fucking morons. Anyway, we're gonna go to the last tier. I'm not gonna let them interrupt it anymore because we're finally at S tier. I don't care what these motherfuckers think. Speed cart, S tier. S tier. He's good for every story. You can wait until you're nearly at the end of the game to sell them all for 6,600 on top of that, and he turns every story into I can now generate a strong unit and then turn it into actually two or just one big unit with optimal farming. He's just overall a good unit for stuff like raids, stuff like story, stuff like challenge, and all on top of that, forget what these noobs are saying, okay? This guy is an epic. So, especially for new players, if you can't get the gems to get Bulma, like these guys want you to believe, he's easy to get. You could spin once or twice or use a summoning ticket and then get almost as good farming as Bulma, a legendary. And you're going to be stuck on story and infinites anyway. You're not going to be going for leaderboard. You're not going to need all this super precision. Like, you're not going to need any of that. You're just going to need somebody that can give you money each wave. Like, that's all you're going to need. If Bulma's never in shop, he's more common to be in shop. This is the guy you want. He's honestly higher than Bulma, but because these guys have little panties in a knot, I don't want to put him at the top of the S because they'll think it's troll tier list. But they want him A or D or whatever the fuck because they just see big number. And they're going to get real mad when I say who's S. Okay, anyway. You need farm units to play the game, guys. You need... I don't know what crack you're smoking. Because you need farm units. You need them. This is a necessity. This isn't some subpar CC or something. This is a necessity. You need farm units. You need them. Until another farm unit comes and blows these two out of the water, they're S. And then in regards to the other farm unit, they're the same camp. You can say Bulma's better for infinites or leaderboards or whatever the fuck. Or you can say this guy's better. I personally think Speed Cart's better. But now that Hollow's out, Bulma's the only way you can generate enough money to put on all your Bleach units. So I'm putting her better this time, but last patch I'd say Speed Cart's the best unit in the game. Okay. I'm personally wrong. Not factually wrong. Personally wrong. What an uneducated opinion. Okay, anyway, down to the last ones. The lowest one I'm going to put here above Bulma and everybody is Aizen. I personally would love to put Aizen even lower. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'll put Aizen A tier. They can get their Jimmies riled. They're already like L take as soon as they got here. Aizen is a leaderboard unit. If you get this unit, he does the lowest amount. I think he does a little bit more than him, but probably slightly less. Actually, I even argue probably lower. He's just good to make it so that your leaderboard wave things are distorted. So if your highest leaderboard thing is like 65, you can use his cooldowns to basically turn that 65 into a 70. Dude, this isn't your tier list. This is my tier list. Go make your own. Go stream and make your own tier list, dude. Suck my balls. Point is, this dude, that's all he does. So he's just high DPS. It's pretty good DPS because it's an update. But his only leash is kind of like mediocre at best. And he can maybe save a raid, but it costs a fortune to get this off. It's a fortune. So you're probably better off with this unit if you already had him. But probably not go for either one of these because the top of the herd are just going to be able to carry you through the whole thing. Okay, anyway. The next unit you should probably snipe. I'm gonna put Stark next. Stark is the bottom of S tier, I'd say. So let's see chat fucking blow the fuck up about this opinion. Stark is at the bottom of all of them. He should be on your team, but he's the weakest of all of them. Let's see if they thought they were gonna get mad before. Now they get to see this. Stark is at the bottom of S. What do you have to say? I'll say why, but they're gonna get mad. His DPS is great, and his cooldowns. Nah, you guys are haters. Okay, his cooldowns are so abysmal that he does hit for close to 40k with a spawn unit that does like 10,000. But to get there, you need to spend 15k, 25k, and 30k. So what will happen is you're just kind of lingering on like probably 12k, and you can reach 12k with a better economy thing. So I'd say that this unit is your late game unit to keep you in your infinite. Okay? So you need to get your early game unit and your mid game unit good, and then when you finally plop this guy down, he'll carry the rest of the infinite to 50 or whatever arbitrary number you're going for. His attack speed is too slow and he costs too much. However, he hits the hardest in the game, and his AoE and his circle are humongous. So he is somebody that you should go for if you're spending gems. However, of the few that are left here, he's probably not something that you need to go for first. He's something that you should go for last of these guys, not including the rest of the tier list. Alright, next is this unit. He would be higher because he's limited, and his buff is like super, super good. However, what I find myself doing in most cases with him, his DPX actually is better than Coyote's in the earlier sections, is I get him to the buff, and then I buff the already established board that I've made, instead of fully upgrading him. I put him on the side and just do a 3-stack buff. That seems to be the best way to work with this unit. And for those that don't know, because this tier list is more tailored for people that are trying to learn what the characters do and manage their gems, he gives you a cooldown, like your character's attack speed just goes like faster. It scales on like how fast they already are. You can't go to 0 anybody. And then he makes their range even larger than what it already is. And then it cycles within itself. Like, it's a very narrow thing, but he's very, very strong. Yeah, if Orwin had a buff size of this, it'd be insane. But for right now, he's around here, but you should gun for him before Coyote, because this unit is limited. So if you miss him... Dude, this guy's got fucking emotional issues with himself. If you don't want to miss this unit, you got a week, dude. You got a week or two. So you probably should get him. But he is also a mid-game to late-game unit. You should put him down before your Coyote, but he is mid to late game. Next, I'm going to put Irwin. I would put him higher. Like, I'd put him at the top of S tier because he's a legendary. But he, on his own, especially after you get the 2 top tiers out, can solo the bosses of Bleach with his horses, because it's a humongous map. And then if he's in shop, it's a W, because you're basically going to beat the whole game with the unit. I was a little skeptical with him in Tokyo Ghoul with the regen, but if you have something like over here with more damage, the regen's not a big deal anymore. And his horses just do so much, and then he buffs on top of it. So he's basically got 2 attacks going on. The buff size is a little small, so you'll have to do weird stuff with units with like AoEs like Shanks or Dio or whatever the fuck, or Blackbeard. So people are gonna miss the buffs. Yeah, I know about Stark's. But to get to the wolf, you have to spend 25k, dude. You can put this guy down for 700 and buff him to 2,000, or go 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. You already have the buff, and the horses are already hitting 2,000 a horse. So he's just cracked all around. I only kicked him off my team because I was tired of hearing the horse sounds. That's actually it. Thanks for the follow. Other than that, Other than the horse downs and then the buff being very, very small and forcing you to do weird situations, which is why this guy kind of got power crept. Because now you have to keep your units in this very content space where units like this guy can kind of make it so you can kind of spread your stuff out. Okay, the final thing, the final two units is this guy. Everyone told me this guy was bad. Everybody told me this guy was bad. And I even pushed him off to get Coyote first. And then when I put him down, I noticed his attack speed, like, he hits for 20,000 and Coyote hits for 32 in base. And then his attack speed 6.6 and Coyote's is more closer to 13. So it's actually like this unit hits for 2,000 twice for 40,000, or 20,000 twice for 40,000, and Coyote only does 32. Even if you scale in the wolves, this guy's gonna eventually just pass Coyote for DPS. And since he's cheaper on top of that, you're going to succeed in your early game infinite hollows. You're just gonna exceed what Coyote can do. Because if you do the start that I do, which it's on YouTube, if you put down what you do, wait, I'm not going to go into it until I get to the unit, but if you do the start that I do, Coyote will struggle with DPS in that earlier portion. So that's why it's a lot better to do either like an Orwin start or the one start I'll get to for the final unit. Okay, anyway, dude, this guy is like, you know what? He's distracting me too much. I'm trying to do this. Okay. Anyway, his cone is, or his circle is huge. His DPS is great. Like, dude, I tried to like be more bearable to these people and their opinions, but he was just overall being a toxic piece of shit. So, like, I'm just like, the insults are enough. Like, I'm trying to finish this YouTube video, dude. Anyway, he wasn't. I'm gonna finish the video. Okay. Anyway, the final unit is Uru. Sorry to anybody like watching this and trying to get educated on this. These are the haters. I was trying to like listen to what they have to say because it's more healthy for a community to talk to each other, but they were just overall getting toxic. Uru is the best unit. He's a hill unit. You need it for flight. He takes care of everything. You can do Orwin strats, but eventually they get overwhelmed by the flight units. Uru has 5,500 base every 3 seconds. And said the chance to crit. He just carries like he can do challenges. He can do story. He can do story on hard, alone, without farming. He can do infinites by himself. You can go all the way up to 35 before it becomes problematic. Dude, I was gonna talk back to this guy, but now he's just like vouching for somebody that's going on. Yeah, this guy's actually got a good take here. The other Andre Carr, he's basically talking about actual numbers of the characters can do. So with Godspeed and all that stuff, 7K is the max. I currently have Superior on him, and I'm hitting for 6K solid. So if you see these units in the shop, you should get these no matter what. These are the ones that you want. But I would do it in the order of speed cart actually first. Like, you should just get a farm unit if you're first starting out, and then Orwin. And then once you have those two, you should be set on whatever other units you got going on. But the actual meta, you need Uru. And Uru will continue to be meta if they keep flying in the game. And then from there, it will be this unit, because he's got the highest base DPS and its fastest attack speed, lowest cost. This guy, because he's limited. And then if you're doing leaderboard or really need that extra power, you can go for Coyote if you want. I actually think people kind of like had him jerk off in their mouth or something, because he wasn't as great as everybody told me. Anyway, that was the